Jim, are we ready to go with Civic Clerk?
Yes. Yeah,
We're good to go.
All right, the March 10th, 2021 Improvement Service Committee will come to order, and we'll note that Alder Burnett is present, Alder Gerlach, Alder Weary, and Alder Scannell is efforting at the moment. Can I get an approval of the agenda?
Moved.
Motion by Alder Burnett, second by Alder Gerlach. Any changes? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And it looks like Alder Scannell's connecting right now. We should be here momentarily. Can I get an approval of the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Alder Gerlach, second by Alder Burnett to approve the minutes. Any changes? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now we're just adjourning, Randy. You just missed the whole thing.
But we elected you.
We'll note Alder Scannell is also present, and we're just starting the regular business, Randy, so perfect timing. Number one is consideration with possible action on request by residents of the Eaton Heights subdivision for a sidewalk study on the east side of North Huron Road from Humboldt Road to State Highway, I believe 5457 interchange, referred to INS and Director.
Okay, this was referred back at council because we did not have financial information when we brought this forward 2 weeks ago. So just to give some context to this, there are 3 properties. This is the Quick Trip across from Fire Station number 7. Then there is currently an empty lot which is owned by GLJB Investments. And then there's the Bayland Heights Condominium Association. Now, this currently empty lot is anticipated to be the next extension of that condo association. Of all the sidewalk along this stretch, these are the only 3 properties that would have direct access by the property owner. So these would be privately funded. It would be their responsibility to install and maintain that walk. We did have staff go through and complete an estimate, probable estimate of construction cost. Total project cost for the entire sidewalk is estimated at $231,870, and that was not part of our capital improvement program for 2021. So we would have to try to find the we'd have to try to find at least the city funded portion of that, or potentially defer this to a different year. Of that $231,870, approximately $195,777 would be city requirement, with the remaining $36,093 being private. The Quick Trip property would carry an approximate cost of $20,103. The empty parcel to the north is estimated at about $7,614. And then the Bayland Heights condominium would be at $8,377. So with that in mind, again, we don't have money in this year's CIP to fund the project this year. I didn't know if, and again, Alderdorf was the one that referred this back. Now you have the financials on this as well.
Thank you, Director. Alderdorf, do you have any?
I just, knowing that this wasn't part of the plan for 21, I think it might be more financially responsible for us to defer this to the next year when it can be properly be included. I mean, I know this needs to be done by law. It needs to be done because you have to have this sidewalk on both sides. It's required unless somehow you want to divert money from another project. But I just want to make sure that this committee was aware that it needs a lot of money to fund this project.
Any questions from the committee or motions? This is your district, right, Barb?
It is my
Okay.
district, yeah. I think it's also part of the Safe Walks to School plan. I mean, there's a lot of good reason to put the sidewalk in, definitely. We just have to make sure that, we're prepared to pay for it and that we put that as part of our plan.
Elder Scannell?
Well, to kick this to the director, is there any projects that we could rob Peter to pay Paul, or where were you thinking to do this year? How would we pay for it? Did you have any thoughts on that?
We submitted a very lean capital improvement program. As a matter of fact, since we originally submitted our CIP, I have shaved almost $6 million worth of projects out of it.
You're muted, Randy.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying was good as muted. Well, it sounds like this is something that should get done, but would it be? What would be the problem with putting it? Do you see an issue with that, Director?
I haven't spoken with the residents out there in quite some time. So I guess I would ask Alder Dorff if she's had more recent communications. I think I would like to believe that if the residents know that it's coming, and we're just simply in a financial situation in 21 that we can't do it this year, but it's coming in 22, I would like to think that they would be somewhat understanding of that, but I don't know that. I haven't had that conversation.
And
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, Barb.
Certainly they want the sidewalk out there. There's the concern about crossing the street. However, there will not be able to be a crosswalk where they want a crosswalk because there is a hill that it would block the driver's visibility of the crosswalk as they go over the hill. And then it just isn't a safe place. So that even when the sidewalk's going to get installed, I don't think there can be a crosswalk where there's a crosswalk wanted, but there will be one at the end of the street by Quick Tripper. So, but they mainly want that sidewalk there for the walking to school, walking in the neighborhood, and we have told them it's coming. So we have to be fiscally responsible. I want this for my district, but I didn't want you to pass this without realizing that it wasn't planned for, and that wasn't fair. And so I hope that you can put it in the 2022, and I will advocate for that with them if they, should become upset by this. Okay. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, committee, should we recommend it goes in next year?
Yeah, I make a motion to resubmit this for next year.
Second.
Motion by Elder Scannell, second by Elder Gerlach. Any discussion with that?
This certainly isn't a cakewalk.
Oh, no.
But it will be cakes of sidewalk.
It will be kicks of sidewalk.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Motion carried. Thanks for bringing that to their attention, Barb.
Welcome.
Number 2, more sidewalks. Consideration of possible action on request to install sidewalks on the east side of North Irwin Avenue from St. Clair to the East River.
Okay, Alder Galvin submitted this communication. I'm not sure how familiar with the area any of you are, so we'll start off with a parcel map. So Irwin and St. George is just south of the East River. So on the north corner, just up here outside of Frame, is a Dairy Queen on Main Street. So we're talking about this little stub of Irwin that comes north off of St. Clair up to the East River. Mr. Delsart, the property owner on the north end, is the one who has approached the Alder regarding having sidewalk installed. when we take a look at the aerial, there's some asphalt going down the street. The bottom end of this street has been largely deteriorated for many years. Mr. Delsart recently purchased and is renting, improved and now is renting these homes out. So there are 3 parcels that would be impacted. I believe this one is a rental. Then the city owns a large parcel, and then Mr. Delsart. With this, and this request does tie in with the previous one. Before bringing something like this forward, or when we send it back to complete a sidewalk study, would the committee like us to reach out and get input from those property owners who would be affected by this before we bring it back for action? Is that something? I can see where it would be nice to notify them and get some input, but if you've been on the council for any length of time, folks like having the amenity but don't like having to pay for it and don't like having to maintain it. So I would anticipate that would be the prevailing sentiment we would get back. But at the very least, to let any impacted property owners know that this is up for consideration, and based on current or last year's sidewalk numbers, our contract numbers, we would expect that the sidewalk adjacent to your property would cost you this many dollars. And at least then they've been notified, and if they wanted to attend the meeting when we're taking up the action item, they would have that opportunity. Is that something that the committee would find valuable?
I would, certainly, yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, then I think in this case, the recommendation we would be looking for is to refer this to staff to complete the sidewalk study, develop the cost estimates, notify the property owners of those cost estimates, and bring it back at a future meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Alder Gerlach, second by Alder Scannell to refer to staff to do the study and notify people and bring it back. Any discussion on that?
This ain't
Those
no
in favor?
favor either.
Oh. In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. Number 3, consideration with possible action on the request by Department of Public Works to award a professional engineering services contract to Mcmahon Associates, Inc. for engineering design services for West Seymour Park Stormwater Facility in the amount of $27,000. Director.
As we have been working on stormwater facilities across the city to handle flooding issues, we have engaged consultant services over the past several years. So we are currently evaluating a couple of facilities associated with Seymour Park to relieve some of the flooding that happens in the Ashland Avenue corridor down near Mason Street. And staff is recommending to award an engineering design contract to Mcmahon to take a look at the West Seymour Park stormwater facility, which is on the west side of Ashland Avenue.
Questions? No? Motion? Alder Gerlach?
Is this in the budget?
Yes, this is actually in the stormwater budget for professional services.
Okay, then I move that we approve.
Second?
Motion by Alder Gerlach, second by Alder Scannell. Any discussion on that one? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. Number 4, consideration with possible action on request by the Department of Public Works to award a professional engineering services contract to McMahon Associates for the engineering design services for East Seymour Park Stormwater Facility in the amount of $25,000.
So very similar to the previous item. And again, this is in our stormwater budget.
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion by Alder Gerlach, second by Alder Scannell. Discussion. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 5 is consideration with possible action requested by Department of Public Works to authorize amendment number 1 for the professional services agreement between the city and Collins Engineers, Inc. in the amount of $51,050 for the design work for modifying the docking facilities in Lake Park.
We had previously awarded a contract to Collins Engineers to start the work for modifying the docking facilities. The scope has increased on that due to some of what we've run into out there. So we've asked Collins to prepare a contract amendment. Because that amendment is in excess of $25,000, we are bringing that amendment back for the committee to review and approve.
Questions from the committee?
So that extra money would come from?
This is all being TID funded. When I believe this is in TID 5, which is on both sides of the Fox River. And way back when that TID plan was approved, one of the items that was specifically called out in the TID was improvements at Light Park. So these improvements are being intended primarily to accommodate both the tall ships when they come, but more so the cruise ship industry, which is going to be coming to Green Bay, which is going to be a huge economic benefit for the city. So we definitely want to make sure that we have proper and adequate docking facilities for those cruise ships when they start coming in.
All right. Alder Gillick?
Maybe you said it and it went right over my head. What is amendment number 1?
They had a scope of services, and we've increased the scope of services for some additional design. So the amendment is just to cover the additional design that we're asking Collins to complete for us.
Okay.
Any other questions? Motion by Alder Scannell to approve.
Second?
Second by Alder Gillick. Any discussion on that? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Number 6, consideration with possible action on request by Department of Public Works to enter into a master license agreement with Net LEC LLC Cellcom for the installation of small cell network in the city right of way.
Similar to cell networks, the small cell networks, instead of the large towers, are smaller facilities that are installed on sometimes utility poles, sometimes light poles. They fill in the gaps between the larger cell towers and help to accommodate the bandwidth necessary to bring 5G technology into our area. Back in 2016, we were approached by WITN to put the first small cell licensing agreement into place. That was approved by, recommended for approval by the committee and approved by the council. And it has worked out very well for the city. They've been a great group to work with. We did anticipate at some point in time, other vendors were going to be coming to the city requesting similar treatment. And this is simply the next one that we see coming in. Cellcom, whether they're doing business as Netlec or Cellcom, has been a good corporate partner. They've worked well with the city in the past. So we would recommend approval of a small cell master agreement. And what that master agreement does, it sets out the terms and conditions under which that company can locate small cell facilities within the city of Green Bay. And then each individual installation, they come and get a permit, which is an amendment to the master contract from the city. So we do get a chance to review and approve individual installations under that master agreement as they come forward.
Director, are they leasing that space from us, or is, what?
No, because they're a telecommunication company, they have statutory right of occupation within the public right of way. So they're allowed to be there. As a regulatory agency, we have the right to tell them where. And if there is a conflict between what they want to put in and what our needs are, we do have the ability to deny them that location and suggest alternate locations.
All right. Any questions, committee? Alder Gillick?
Of course I do. So they then charge back for their services. This doesn't cost the city anything.
It does not cost the city anything, and we are actually able to receive a slight amount of revenue if they are located on a city facility. If they put their own tower up, then we receive nothing, but we're not paying anything either.
All right.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion by Alder Scannell, second by Alder Gillick to approve. Discussion. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Number 7, consideration with possible action on the review and award of the contract pavement 121 Grace Street reconstruction. Director.
Okay, this was just bid out yesterday. And I'm looking for it on my screen here. So, we received 7 bids. Low bid was from DeGroat Incorporated in the amount of $2,630,367.59. Staff is recommending award of approval to the low responsive bidder, DeGroat Incorporated, in the amount of $2,630,367.59.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the committee? Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, there's a motion. Elder Scannell, second by Elder Gerlach, to award to the lowest bidder as stated. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Number 8, consideration with possible action on request by Wisconsin Public Service Corporation for an easement to facilitate expansion water utility at 631 South Adams Street. Director.
Okay, this one was actually included in your packet. Green Bay Water Utility is completing an expansion of their facility on South Adams. In order to facilitate that, Wisconsin Public Service needs to relocate some of their facilities, so they have requested a 12-foot wide easement as shown on the exhibit. I did have a conversation with General Manager Quirk at the water utility today, and she assures me that they are in complete support of granting that easement to WPS.
All right. What do you wish, committee?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Elder Scannell, second by Elder Burnett to approve. Discussion. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 9 is a report of actions taken by Department of Public Works. A, granting of licenses. Number 1, sidewalk builders, Anderson Basement Repair, Carter Trucking and Excavating, In the Countryside Concrete, and Quinn & Sons Concrete Construction. Those were all awarded licenses. So unless you have any questions, it's receive and place on file.
Motion to receive and place on file.
Second.
By Elder Scannell, second by Elder Burnett, to receive and place on file. Any discussion on those? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Boom, look at that, informational. Director's report.
And I do not have a director's report tonight. I've been kind of cramming as much as I can into the last couple of days trying to get ready for going out on medical leave. So no report for me tonight.
I do have a question for you, Steve.
Sure.
And I know the railroad is their own kingdom, right? But last Friday, you probably had complaints about this. I was getting fish from the east side. I'm having a mind blank here, but and we were going to cross the river, and we were there. We sat there from 5 to 5:45. It was a 45-minute train, and there were so many people backed up, and everybody then was reaching out saying, "How can you let that happen?" I'm like, well, we don't really have a lot of control over it, but
There was some ability in the past for us. The rail was only allowed to block a street for a certain amount of time. So Dave Hansen, the traffic engineer, used to keep a log of that, and every time that they exceeded the time, he would send them a notification. And if memory serves, when we tried to actually enforce it, we were told by the state that it was unenforceable because it's a infringement on the Interstate Commerce Clause or something along those lines. So yeah, we share with the frustration. That's not something we like, and we do bring it to the CN's attention when it happens, but there's largely not a whole lot we can do to enforce it.
I thought it was something like that, but it seemed to me that the bridge tenders used to kind of watch it and jot it down, right? But just happened at a Friday right at rush hour, so it was something.
Well, and again, remember, we don't have bridge tenders any longer.
Yeah.
there's a single bridge tender at Walnut, and that's the county, that's not city any longer.
Lesson learned, use Mason Street.
Yes, very much so.
All right, any questions for the director?
No.
Alder Gillock?
A question for the director or for anyone who can answer this for me. When we get an email from someone named Jamie, it's usually shortly before a meeting, and it's a contract or something, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that.
Jamie is one of the professionals in the admin section of our department, and she's typically sending out some information for your consideration because it has to do with something that would be on the agenda tonight, but we didn't get it in time to make it part of the packet. I would be presenting it at the meeting, but we're trying to get you as much advance notification as we can.
Okay, I've opened them and I thought, I don't know what this is supposed to help me with, so, okay.
All right, Elder Burnett?
Yeah, Director Grenier, you alluded to medical leave. I wish you well.
Thank you,
Other
sir.
staff, and I know your department's in good hands. Hopefully, you take the time you need to heal up and be ready for the summer months. So take care of yourself.
Thank you. We were just having that discussion before the meeting started, and it's definitely going to be a challenge for me to try to stay away. I was having that discussion with my wife last weekend, and I've been in professional practice for a little over 30 years, and the longest period of time I've been away has been 6 days in 30 years. So I don't know how I'm going to do this, but
Well, you have a very responsive and very professional staff, and I don't want to speak for everyone else, but I'm always very impressed with how quickly on really important issues. So just know that your department's in good hands in your absence.
I agree with you, and I appreciate you making that point.
I predict you'll be back in 3 weeks.
I'm hoping so.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Yep, good luck.
When you get back, I'd like the first dance.
I didn't dance before surgery, Alder. I don't think they installed dancing jeans when they repaired the knee.
Talk to the doctor.
All right, receive and place that on file.
You can place on file.
All right,
Second.
motion by Alder Scannell, second by Alder Burnett to receive and place on file. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? March 24th, our next meeting.
Motion to
Tentatively.
adjourn.
Second.
All right,
All right.
then we're done.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Who's adjourned?